Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order of May 9th. All school committee members are present, including our newest members, Mr. Lewis and Ms. Burns. Welcome. The first order of business is reorganization. We need to elect a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. And we will do it in alphabetical order. Can I, opening for nominations for chair of the school committee, Mrs. Bonish.
Peggy Kane.
Mrs. Burns.
Peggy Kane.
Mrs. Carroll.
Peggy Kane.
Mr. Hayes.
She has more experience on the school committee than all of us combined. So once again, I'll be voting for Peggy Kane.
Mrs. Kane.
Mrs. Kane. Thank you.
Mr. Mullis.
Peggy Kane.
Dr. Quick.
Mrs. Kane.
It's unanimous. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to take
And
your
now you
paper.
can do the rest.
Thank you. Okay. Nominations for vice chairman. Mrs. Bonish.
Robert Hayes.
Robert Hayes. Mrs. Burns.
Robert Hayes.
Mrs. Carroll.
Mr. Hayes.
Mr. Hayes.
Ditto.
Mrs. Kane says Mr. Hayes. Mr. Mullis.
Mr. Hayes.
Mr. Hayes. And Dr. Quick.
Mr. Hayes.
Good. Thank you. Congratulations, Robert. Unanimous. Thank you. And for secretary, Mrs. Bonish.
Mrs. Bonish.
She's so conceited.
Can she do that?
Yeah.
Yes, good. Good thing we have you here tonight, Mrs. Bonish. Mrs. Burns.
And Mrs. Bonish.
Mrs. Carroll.
Mrs. Bonish.
Mr. Hayes.
Mrs. Bonish.
Mrs. Kane. Mrs. Bonish. Mr. Mullis.
Mrs. Bonish.
And Dr. Quick.
Mrs. Bonish.
Congratulations, Mrs. Bonish.
That's
Secretary. I forgot to tell you that when Linda's not present, Mrs. Bonish had asked what the secretary does. So when Linda's not present, you can take the notes for us.
Well, can I take that away?
I'm just teasing you. Thank you. So, Mr. Hayes, do you and Dr. Quick
Yeah.
want to change spots? That'd be great.
See ya.
Yeah, it's nice knowing you.
Bring your name tag.
You have to bring your packets and everything.
Then we have
Okay.
Leslie. Your name.
Oh, your name. Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here. Okay, here we start with
Looks a
our
little different.
approval of items by consensus. Superintendent Benton.
We have 3 items on the consent agenda. Approval of the minutes of April 11th. Warrants, I'm going to regroup this, R229, R230, G420, G421, L56, L57, L58, L59, L60, and then warrants FS23, FS24, and payroll 411 and 425. I'm doing that in order that Mrs. Carroll can vote on some of the warrants.
Great, okay, thank you. All right, our first motion would be to approve the minutes of April 11th school committee meeting. If you were not at that meeting, you could abstain. So the new people know what could do. Mr. Hayes,
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the April 11th school committee meeting.
do we have a second? Dr. Quick. Okay, all those in favor? 5, Linda, and all those who abstain? 2 abstentions. Okay. Thank you. And our next item would be the warrants, the R229 warrants through L60. We'll take a motion to approve those warrants. Mrs. Bonish.
I make a motion to approve the warrants R229 through L60.
Do we have a second? Mrs. Carroll. Give us. All those in favor? Everyone can do that. Good, unanimous. Thank you. And then the FS23, FS24, 411 payroll, and 425 payroll. Do we have a motion to accept those warrants? Yeah, Mrs. Bonish.
I make a motion to approve the warrants FS23 and FS24 and also the payroll of 411 and 425.
Okay, do we have a second? Great, Mr. Mullis, thank you. All those in favor? 6 in favor. Those who abstained, 1 abstention. Thank you, Linda. Okay. Our next item of business is the Student Representative Report with Michaela. Good evening, good to see you back.
Good to see you. The spring sports have been doing well this season, and they're coming to a close as the school year is ending. This week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and the seniors picked the Teacher of the Year, and it went to the class advisor for the seniors, Ms. Bortone. Guest speaker Kathy Meyer-Sullivan spoke to the students that attended the senior prom on Friday afternoon, and the senior prom was held at the Danversport Yacht Club, and promenade was held at the middle school, and everything went smoothly. Today is Nurse Appreciation Day at the high school, and the spring concerts for band and strings were held last week, and finals for the seniors are starting next Friday. And the spring college fair is coming up in the next 2 weeks, and we had the career fair last Friday.
Very nice, thank you.
And she looked beautiful at the prom.
Thank you.
We'll have to watch for the WCTV promenade.
Should.
So that we'll know at least one person in the class. Good. Thank you, Michaela.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. Our next item of business is the Superintendent's Report. Mrs. Benton.
I have 5 items on the report, but the top one is the most important. I'd like to ask Mr. Jeffrey Strasnick to come up to the table and introduce you all to the new principal of the Woburn Street and Wildwood Schools, and say welcome on behalf of all of us. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you very much. I didn't know I was coming on such an exciting evening. Moving nameplates and everything. This is great. Well, I guess I just want to say thank you. I'm truly honored to have been asked to be the new principal of the Woburn Street and Wildwood Schools. It was a very lengthy process, but what that showed me was how important this is. It was clear that that the team, that the group put a lot of work into it. Me coming out to do a site visit to my school. It was a lot of work, and I know how much work that goes into that, and how many candidates there must have been. So I truly appreciate all the work that people put into it. I think you made a good decision, but I'm excited to be here. Since I announced, I've heard nothing but great things about Wilmington and both schools. Finding people who know people, but they have nothing but nice things to say. So I'm very excited to be here and excited to get a chance to meet everybody. So, any questions?
Mr. Hayes.
No questions, just a comment. Congratulations. Chairwoman Kane, myself, and Mrs. Burns was at your sort of parent interview, if you will. And I know I was particularly impressed with your answers, and I was impressed with both candidates, but particularly your answers. And I guess my one question would be why Wilmington? Why did you want to work in this community?
Yeah, when I first started looking, for a new position, the first thing I do is I look at the schools, I look at their improvement plans, I look at the district's kind of strategic plan to see if it's a good match. If there's things that the district is doing well that I really can't help with, then maybe it's not a right fit. But I saw some things that Wilmington and the 2 schools were working on that I felt like, that I could add to that. So that was kind of initially what I looked at. And then the furthermore I got into the process, just getting to know people, I said this is absolutely going to be a really good fit. Just the way people, I could tell early on how people work together, the collegiality, it was evident from the beginning. So I'd say those are some of the things that really brought me here.
Great, thank you.
I would just like to recognize that your partner, Mr. Apolloni, has taken the time to come on a rainy night to be here when you're being introduced to us, and that's exactly what you just said. That's the collegiality that happens in the school system.
Yeah, no, you're right. It says a lot, and I've seen him more than I think almost anybody since I started this process. But you're right, and again, hearing more about that from people, that's really why I want to come work here.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other comments or questions? No? Be careful driving home.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
You will
Thank
not insult us
No,
by leaving.
Love to stay.
And thank you, Mr. Apolloni, for your time.
I'm hanging around now.
Okay. Bye, Michaela, thank you.
Michaela, can you come on May 23rd, because the school committee would like to honor you?
don't think I'm doing anything.
Okay. All right, I'll email you just a reminder. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, there's four other reports that I attached this evening. One was the updated personnel report on staff members' resignations and positions that were filled. A report on our snafu with the SAT site, a field trip report that Mr. Hayes had requested, and we thought we'd share the results of our professional development survey on the annual professional development that's happening in the district.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on this, Mr. Hayes?
So regarding agenda item 5.2, the personnel report, the reason I had requested that is because in our policy manual, and you thought the warrants and the payroll was bad. This is policy number GCQD. It says, when the resignation is accepted by the superintendent, the employee may be expected to continue in his service, ... All resignations shall be reported to the school committee at its next regular meeting. So it's in our policy manual. So in the future, whenever there's a staff change, I think it would be appropriate if the school committee was notified.
I certainly agree, and I apologize that these were tardy.
And apology accepted, and thank you for providing them.
Thank you. Are we all set?
And then I do have one more question, sorry.
Yep.
On agenda item 5.5, the professional development survey, I guess just sort of a big picture question. How does the school committee know that Wilmington University is working well? And we received the enrollment numbers, so we know how many teachers are taking which particular courses, and we received this survey which tells us what types of courses teachers would like to see in the future. But do we ever survey the teachers after they've taken the courses that they've taken and get feedback, from the courses they've already taken? So how do we know we're doing a good job, I guess would be my question.
That's a good question. It's my understanding that the past practice has been that the instructors of each of the courses give the participants in that course an evaluation form to complete. I'd like to have some dialogue with the PD committee about bringing some uniformity to that process and having at least some common questions as part of an evaluation to be completed by the participants.
There is one that we used to use, so I apologize if you haven't been using it. I know a lot of them have, because I've seen the results.
And I have sent a template out for instructors for the different courses to use that if they don't have one that's more pertinent to the particulars of the course that they've run. So there is a template out there that they do have access to if they choose not to generate one that's more specific.
Sure.
So I will ask Ms. Berman to prepare a report for the school committee.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
Well, could I just say, at this point, too, I would think that people wouldn't sign up for the course the next time if it wasn't. So we can tell through the signups that they're successfully being used.
Right.
Because they wouldn't bother sign up, so that you wouldn't have people in those courses.
We wouldn't, if we didn't have participants registering, we wouldn't be running the workshop. So we do have sufficient enrollment for each of the offerings to run the workshops that are posted.
However, there are instances, sorry,
Go ahead.
it's just that there are instances where, teachers have to take professional development, right, for their PDP. And so just because they're enrolling doesn't mean that they're necessarily, finding the class fulfilling, So just if we could be privy to the survey results, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, we'll get them for you.
Okay. That's the superintendent's report. Was that, any other questions or comments? We're all set. Okay, old business. Wow, we're gonna be done fast.
This is the second reading of the identification and procedure for obsolete and discarded textbooks and library books.
For our two new members, if you were able to read this and you feel that you could vote on this tonight, that would be terrific. I think it's not a
not, we can
rush.
do it on the
If not,
23rd.
we can put this off for 2 weeks and actually vote on it in 2 weeks. How do you feel secure in the policy? or-
I'm confident we could probably proceed with taking a vote on it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you. All right, so the motion would be, I'd entertain a motion to approve the identification and procedure for obsolete and discarded textbooks and library books. Do we have a motion?
I guess for sentimental purposes,
Hayes.
I make a motion to approve the identification and procedure for obsolete and discarded textbooks and library books.
And second, Mrs. Burns?
Yes.
Thank you. All those in favor? Okay, unanimous, Linda. Thank you. Our next item of business is new business. See, tonight we need to appoint the superintendent of schools to the SEAM Collaborative Board. Mrs. Benton?
On March 12th, the general laws of Chapter 40 were amended. A new section was put in, which really is giving more accountability and oversight to ed collaboratives. Part of the new regulations requires that the school committee annually appoint one person to the education collaborative. In our case, it's the SEAM Collaborative. The superintendent has historically been the representative for the district, as is in all the other districts, so you need to reappoint, hopefully me, to the board.
People are rushing to take your place, I don't think. Thank you. We're glad you do it. So I'd entertain a motion to appoint Joanne Benton, Superintendent of Schools, as the Wilmington School Committee representative to the SEAM Collaborative Board of Directors. Dr. Quick.
Motion to appoint Joanne Benton, Superintendent of Schools of the Wilmington, as the Wilmington School Committee representative to the SEAM Collaborative Board of Directors.
Do we have a second? Mrs. Bonish. Okay. All those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Yeah, thank
Can I
you.
make a comment about the law?
Yes.
Yep. Great. I just wanted to make a comment. I read through the 10-page law, and, I found it interesting that a lot of this oversight now falls on the individual school committees. And so that on a quarterly basis, the superintendent is going to give us a report about the STEAM Collaborative. We're going to be getting the written agreement between all the districts. We're going to be getting an annual report. We're going to be getting the results of the annual audit. So, I was pleased to see all that, and I was wondering what the superintendent's feelings are on the new reform law. Is this something that she supports?
I do support it because SEAM has been doing it all along, and actually they're using SEAM. SEAM has always done an annual audit. I actually serve as the financial representative on the committee and go weekly to sign warrants. I have new respect for Paul's job. Actually, what I'd like to do is invite Kathy Lawson, who's executive director, to a meeting in the fall, so you can meet her. This is her first year. She's done an outstanding job, and I'm pleased. It's unfortunate what happened at MEC, and I'm hoping that someday soon we're going to hear some action has been taken on the person who wronged all the children, because the unfortunate piece is the focus on that collaborative is that the programs and the teachers up there are incredible. And it's sad to see the whole program tainted. So I think this is a good move. Although I do not see how DESE is going to find people to represent them on each board.
Great.
But we'll see.
Very interesting. Okay, and do we have our, all right, we're going to skip.
recommend we skip this and
We're
do the
going to
rest.
skip new business number 2 for right now, for our executive session, and we'll go back to that. Delegations. Do you have any delegations? No delegations. Other reports, subcommittee reports. Dr. Quick, you had one for us?
Yes, I do. We had our monthly WEF, Wilmington Educational Foundation meeting yesterday, and a couple of items, just briefly, a couple things that we talked about was, we had the vendor fair at the end of March, and we raised a little over, I believe, around $2,200 at the vendor fair, which was less than the last few years, most likely due to the fact that there were other school functions going on that same evening, unfortunately. We are looking for possibly changing the spring because, as most of you know, we have 2 big fundraisers usually, and then 2 smaller fundraisers during the year, and those really enable us to give the funds to the schools as needed. And during the spring, we're trying to, because vendor fairs are becoming a little bit more popular now, so we're trying to incorporate a fundraiser which really gives the educational component. So the WEF is thinking about possibly doing for next year a spelling bee format. That way, it has the educational component in conjunction with WEF sponsoring it. So we're possibly going to change that and look into doing that. So next spring, look forward to a big spelling bee, possibly with adults and students involved. So Mrs. Benton is really helping us along with that because she's seen it before, so she's really helping us plan, and we're just in the beginning stages. So that's exciting for next year. And then just to remind everybody that the Top Cat Awards will be coming out soon for June, and this is an opportunity, whereas we have the teacher tribute in the December month, this really allows anybody within the school system. It doesn't have to be a teacher. It can be somebody's bus driver or, maintenance worker. Somebody just, it's a way to donate to the WEF in the name of anyone within the school system. So that'll be coming out over the next month. So just keep your eyes out for the students. And that's it for tonight.
Thank you. So the Top Cat Award is, once you got the paper, you nominate and give a donation?
Yeah, you donate, and that person gets a little certificate saying that somebody is given to the WEF in your honor.
I love
And it can be
that.
anybody besides, in December, it's specific to teachers, but during the Top Cat can be anybody.
So nanas could do it if they had a bus driver that deserves it.
Exactly, absolutely. So look forward to that coming up.
Oh, excellent. That's a great idea. Excellent. Any comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Dr. Quick. On the 23rd, I will give out the subcommittee assignments. So if you had anything you wanted to let me know about them, we'll talk about between now and the 23rd, and I'll give the assignments that night. All right. Correspondence from the old secretary. Do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence tonight.
Okay, good, thank you. Future meeting dates and agenda items. May 23rd, 2012 will be our next meeting. And I just wanted to let you know that when the 3 people who went to charting the course, Mrs. Bonish, Mr. Hayes, Mrs. Carroll, came back so excited. And then Mrs. Benton and I actually had some time to explain to our 2 new members how the school committee operates. So we thought it would be a great idea for us to have Mr. Gilbert come on June 27th, Wednesday, June 27th. It won't be on TV. It will be a workshop at the Roman House. And anything questions that we have particular to our school committee and how it functions, and what the school committee should be looking for and be striving to do or maintain. Yes.
Will it run
Dr.
at the same time frame?
He said he can do an hour, but I'm not sure we know him.
But 7 o'clock, we're talking?
Oh, I was thinking 6:30.
6:30?
6:30.
Okay.
If that's all right, because it's far enough ahead.
What day of the week?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay.
Yeah, Wednesday,
It'll
June
be in lieu
27th.
of the school committee meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, that would be the last one for the summer anyway. Yep, so, and we'll get some refreshments, and so basically you don't have to, if you're coming right from work, you
We'll
don't
have
have to
dinner,
worry.
yeah, sandwiches.
We'll have dinner, thanks, yeah, Dr. Quick. Yes,
I
Mrs.
just wanted to also add, for the audience's sake, that on May 23rd, I will be bringing a recommendation to the school committee for appointment of a director of special education. That is your responsibility based on state law, but it's based on superintendent recommendation. And I will bring the candidate, have the candidate come that night. It's
Great.
no secret, I'm recommending that the interim be appointed permanent. Mary Hood's done an outstanding job. I've had nothing but positive comments from parents, teachers, staff. We just completed on Friday 1 week of having the DESE with us all week for the coordinated program review, which is, a reminder, covers special ed, ELL, and civil rights. And on Friday, we, at the exit interview, we just got a little taste of what we're about to hear. And the gentleman from the DESE said that he's been doing this for 6 years, and this was the best visit he ever had. He commended the district on the incredible teamwork, on the leadership team, that everybody works together. And if someone does not know an answer, they'll ask someone else. That everyone knew Sue McDonald, our ELL coordinator, they couldn't get over all that she has accomplished. Commended us on adding additional staff so that we meet the requirements. They were, commended our civil rights audit, which had no findings, and we believe we're going to have no findings in ELL and only one, I think, in SPED, which is unheard of. So Mary was very much involved in that whole process and has really taken a leadership role, and I think she can. I didn't think anybody could fill Marlene Fonda's shoes, but maybe Mary can. So I will be bringing that recommendation to you on the 23rd.
Thank you. If you have any questions between now and then, you could speak to the superintendent about it on that issue. Feel free. All right. So at this point, I'll entertain a motion for us to adjourn to executive session to discuss security from which we shall not return. Dr.
Motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss security for which we will not return.
Thank you. Mr. Hayes?
Second.
Thank you. Wait a minute. What did I do with my paper? I had us alphabetically down here. Okay, roll call motion. Mrs. Bonish? Yes. Yes, Mrs. Burns?
Here.
Yes. Mrs. Carroll?
Yeah.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Moulis?
Yes.
Dr. Quick?
Yes.
Mrs. Kane? Yes. Okay, thank you, everybody.